Hi everybody, this is Gene Purplant. I'm here today with Patricia Redsicker from WordView Editing. How you doing today?
Hi.
I've kind of tricked her and coerced her into doing a video interview with me here via Skype. I was really blessed and excited when I got an invite from her a few weeks ago that she was doing a webinar. And if you follow anything along the lines of the blogosphere and what's going on in social media and stuff, webinars are pretty popular. A really nice way for companies to kind of talk about what they're doing, their products, their services, and also give out some advice on how to do certain things. And so she actually put one together that was really informative, and this is what I wanted to talk to her about. So, Patricia, here we go.
Thank you so much, Jean, for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Actually, before we get started, why don't you tell everybody what you do, who where you're from, and why you're so spectacular.
Oh, I wish I'm spectacular. That is a nice thing for you to say. But I am from Baltimore, Maryland. WordView Editing is my content marketing consultancy. I got into content marketing about 2 years ago. I had been doing the social media thing for a while. But for me, there was something that was kind of missing, and I wasn't sure what that was. I got the whole social media thing, but I felt like there was something more that was missing, and I just kind of wasn't sure what that thing was, but I knew that if I saw it, I would recognize it.
Hmm.
And so, as fate would have it, I was on Social Media Examiner, where I spent a lot of time there. And I happened to see this interview with Michael Stelzner and Joe Polisi. And Joe Polisi was talking about content marketing and how that fits in with social media. I think for me, that interview was the moment when the clouds parted, so to speak, and angels sang, and I
Okay.
heard the woo, and I knew that that was what I'd been looking for. I
Okay.
knew that that's right, that's it, because content marketing is exactly the missing piece that makes social media work.
Hmm.
And from that point on, I pursued it. I made it my passion to learn everything that I could about content marketing. And I haven't looked back since. Um, so my blog, which is at wordviewediting.com, really just talks about content marketing, gives content marketing advice. But I'm very focused right now on a healthcare audience. And so that's kind of my focus. That is not to say that I don't have something for everyone else. In fact, my Friday articles are kind of like industry agnostic. But then during the rest of the week, I try to focus a little bit more on healthcare audiences.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, like I said, last about 2 weeks ago, you held a webinar on how to drive more customers to your website, right? And
Right.
so, tell me a little bit about that. Like what made you decide to go ahead and produce a webinar?
So last year I attended Blog World. I went to Los Angeles and attended Blog World, and I was really fascinated with one speaker in particular. You might have heard of him. His name is Pat Flynn, and he
Hmm.
writes a blog called, I think it's something passive income, smart passive income.
Okay.
And I went to his, I had never heard him before, but his session had an interesting title. And so I thought, this is great. It had something to do with how to be everywhere at the same time, on the internet, that is.
Mm.
And I thought that was an interesting concept, and I wanted to know what
That
that
is.
meant.
Yeah.
So I went to his session at Blog World, and he had a really, really fascinating discussion about how you can be on different platforms. And in doing that, you can capture so many audiences that would have pretty much slipped through your fingers had you just focused on one platform. So, for
Hmm.
example, if you're a blogger, you could also think about incorporating video, podcasting, webinars, and a host of other things that can kind of make you seem like you're everywhere. And
Mm.
at the same time, you can leverage those audiences that hang out in specific platforms that you hadn't thought about before.
Okay.
And that really challenged me, but also inspired me because I had never done anything video related, but I realized that what he was saying was true and that I had to kind of like branch out from my blog and start being in different places. So I started podcasting and I started doing webinars. And this is my first video interview. So I guess I'm really taking this thing to heart.
It was part of the things that you talked about in terms of creating content. So,
Yes, it was.
I figured, as a good attendee, why not take up the opportunity and challenge that?
That's right. Good for you.
Not wait too long and go ahead and challenge that. So that's awesome. I agree with that. I do think that there's there, and that's probably the reason why there's so many social media platforms that are out there right now. Not, I wouldn't say that every single one of them that are out there are for everyone in every business. I do believe that there are some that are more influential or some that are more beneficial to a business depending on what their service and what their industry is, what their service and products are. For example, one of the biggest ones out there right now, which I believe clinched the number 3 spot, was Pinterest over the last couple of days. And me personally, right now, it's not something that's the focus factor that I'm trying to get into. I still am in Twitter a lot. I'm in LinkedIn a whole lot. I'm in Facebook. Not as much, but I'm there as well. But in some other mediums, I just don't spend enough time in. Though I know that there are people there that are looking for content, that are searching content, that are primarily there versus elsewhere. That you have to find a way to use whatever social media outlet is going to be beneficial to you and your business, more than just trying to carpet bomb everybody, all mediums with the same information. It's just not going to work that way. So that's very interesting.
And I might add to that you're so right about that, because it's not about just being everywhere at the same time. The concept, it's a great concept, but on the other hand, you have to be a little discerning, because the truth is your audience hangs out in specific places.
Right.
They might be more inclined to hang out on LinkedIn and not on Pinterest, in which case, is it really a good idea to invest all that time on Pinterest if your audience really isn't there?
Right.
So unless you're trying to experiment with new audiences, which is obviously something that is a good thing to do, it's always good to try out new things and see how far your content will go as far as reaching new people. But if traditionally that your audience hangs out in a specific platform, then I would be careful to just spread yourself so thin and your resources as well, to the point where you're not even seeing a useful return. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, of course, try to leverage the different platforms that we have, but at the same time, know your market and know where your folks are, the people that you're trying to reach, know where they are.
Right. I agree. Now, in keeping in step with the webinars, what were some platforms that you may have used, both, online or offline? If you did you use any like email lists to kind of not broadcast but advertise that you were having a webinar to get to get the word out there? Like, what did you use and how did you do that?
So that's a very interesting question, because I kid you not, Gene, this was for me, being that it was my first webinar. Mm-hmm. I didn't get it perfect. And there were many things that went wrong. You heard me saying right around the introduction of the interview that we had severe technical difficulties the day before, and even the day off. We ended up having the recording broke. So we didn't even have a recording to offer our audience after the fact. And we've been working round the clock since then to try to restore that file and send it to our audience, who we had promised that we would give the link to. So things didn't work out perfectly. And this is really, it's such a learning, it's such a good thing to learn, because sometimes I think we're afraid to try out new things precisely because we don't know how they're going to work out.
Yep.
But I think the fear of the start is something we have to be very careful about. Don't be so crazy, worried, frantic that you're going to mess things up, because you know what? First time around, you probably are going to mess things up a tad bit. Maybe not in the content, maybe in the technical part, or maybe if not in the technical part, maybe in your presentation. Maybe your dog might bark. Maybe your kids might come bursting through the door or something. Yep. But the point is, you can't control it to the point where you freak out and never get started. So my thing is that, just do it. You know, just do it, because the second time round and the third time around, you'll get better, and it gets better and better, and you get more technically savvy, and you get more, confident with your presentation skills, and you get more. You just get a better control of yourself and of the content that you're presenting, and so. It was a little shaky, but as far as your question, how did I market? So I didn't even really have time to market that much, because I was so busy putting out fires in different areas that I really had it was just 6 days before the thing started. I sent it out to my email list, I tweeted it some, and I put an event on Facebook. It was really quick, but I didn't do the 3-week traditional, marketing, a pre-webinar marketing strategy that usually we're advised to do.
Is there? There's a 3-week marketing.
I mean, based on my research and my, I follow people like Amy Porterfield, who are just powerhouses when it comes to doing webinars.
Yeah, she is.
There is a way to promote it. There is a way to promote a webinar even as early as 3 weeks out. And on a regular basis, leading up to even 2 hours before the actual webinar starts.
Okay.
So there's a strategy, and I have studied that strategy. But again, like I said, things don't always go the way you plan.
Sure.
And in my case, the marketing took a bit of a hit, but I was still pleased with the turnout, and I'm not afraid to say that, I got about 30 people registered for it.
Nice.
And about half showed up. And I'm not ashamed to say that for a first time that was pretty darn good, and I am not ashamed of that at all.
Yeah.
And I know that if I had marketed it better, it would have had a better turnout. And I know for next time, I know what I need to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an option that you can actually save that webinar and then upload it to like YouTube or something like that, to where it's almost like a gift that keeps on giving?
Yeah, in fact, I've done that since my nightmare. I have since restored the file. Okay. In fact, just a couple of days ago, and we have managed to put it on YouTube. I haven't yet made it public, but first, what I want to do is, tweak it up a little bit, clean it up, and then give it to first and foremost my email subscribers, because those are my peeps, and I have to take care of them first. And then I'll figure out where else I want to put it.
Okay.
But yes, it's going to be, and again, these are some of the things I'm learning how to do. This is not webinars are not my strength. Writing is something that comes naturally to me. But webinars are something that's going to take a little bit of a learning curve.
Okay.
But I'm really happy to experience that and to be experimenting with that particular platform.
Nice. So do you think that it's something, let's say we had, for the viewers that are watching this now, that may not be technically challenged whatsoever, have no HTML skills, can pretty much just get on the computer, visit some websites, check their email, and maybe mess with their WordPress site a little bit here and there. Is this something that they can kind of get into to kind of broaden their their belt of tools to use to market to their clients? Is this something they could do as someone who's not that technically challenged?
Okay, so you just described me. Okay, that was just me in a nutshell.
Nice.
I tell you, sometimes even now with my WordPress blog, sometimes I'm so afraid to install a plugin in case I break the whole thing. So I'm really nervous. My hands are shaking. Should I install this little plugin?
I've been there.
What happens to my site if I press activate?
Yep.
I freak out over little things like that because I don't have that. And I don't want to have it because you know what? There are people who can do it better. Okay. And I know what I'm good at. I write. That's my strength.
Okay.
So I'm not going to worry too much. But you know what? Webinars, surprisingly, even if I said that we had some technical challenges, these were not technical challenges that I had because I'm not technologically. That's not the case. These are issues that I had, for example, that were beyond my control. For example, I was using GoToWebinar, and I use a Mac. GoToWebinar and Macs are not, they don't mesh. So for
Okay.
example, you can't record a webinar on a Mac. You have to have a PC. So I had all those
Ah.
problems, and I didn't really know how to do that, and so I had to get someone to do the recording, and then that recording didn't quite work out. So these were
I
kind
see.
of
Okay.
like beyond my control.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as can you do a webinar when you don't have, absolutely, yeah, because all of these platforms are designed to be extremely user friendly.
Okay.
They are so easy to use. I mean, literally, and again, when you start doing something the first time around, you always want to read the tutorial. So GoToWebinar, for example, much as I don't think I can use them in the future because I have a Mac and therefore the two systems are not compatible, but they have a really cool tutorial video, a 17-minute video that you want to watch and see what how to host your own webinar.
Okay.
So this is not difficult at all. In fact,
Okay.
I was very surprised as to how easy they make it. I was just a little disappointed because of the lack of compatibility with the Mac environment.
Okay. 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 Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm glad that you said that because for me, I have a technical background, but doing webinars, never even thought that I'd ever do it. So I'm very curious to try it out actually, and maybe on my bucket list to do this season before the summer comes on around, and try it. You never know.
I think maybe you and I could do something together. I
I
mean,
would love
you
to.
and I work with websites. I do content. You do design and development. Who knows? We could find something that we could collaborate on,
Sure.
and which would be extremely relevant. So I was surprised that webinars are so easy. If I had known now what I knew a year ago, even before I had attended Blog World and heard Pat Flynn,
Mm-hmm.
I would have tried this out a while back.
Okay. Okay. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know your time is precious. Time is money. Before we get off, I just wanted to ask you, when's the next webinar?
So I wanted to do them on a monthly basis,
Okay.
but then I realized that I just don't know that I don't have ideas can't possibly come that fast. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to sustain that. I'm gonna start off doing them every other month,
Okay.
and again, for those of you who do not know me, my webinars are mostly about content marketing and how to develop your business through digital content. Basically, everything that concerns your website, how to write content that attracts and retains customers, and then how to use your social media outposts to distribute that content so that it can go farther and reach more eyeballs. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Right.
And so to answer your question, I'm going to start doing them every other month.
Okay.
And then if there's a demand for it, let's see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Are you open to taking in suggestions? So like for
Look,
example, maybe even doing a series.
I live by suggestions.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. All right. Well, thanks for coming on and taking some time with me today, Patricia. Again, this is Patricia Redsicker from WordViewEditing.com. You can definitely check out her website, subscribe to her blog. She puts out some really awesome material. I subscribe via RSS because I'm that tech guy that likes it that way instead of via email. But also subscribe to her Facebook page as well as on Twitter. But once again, I just want to thank you for coming on and answering some questions and demystifying this whole webinar phenomenon that we're seeing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.